Hello again, people, and I'm here again with my next request video, and it's another one of those life purpose videos, because as you know, your four core numbers are your life path, your expression, your soul urge, and your birthday numbers, and these are the four most important numbers in your chart. They're your core chart. There are other numbers in your chart like your intensifiers and your personality number and things like that, but it's these four numbers that count. And for this video, it's the life path and the birthday number that are linked to your life purpose and your challenges for this lifetime. Now, as you know, your life path is your major focus. So this person who has requested life path 9 with birthday number 8, 90% of your focus should be on that life path 9 and the elements forthwith, or within, should I say. Then the birthday number is like a major sub-lesson which gives strong hints to the way that the 9 should be expressed. For example, looking at these numbers together, I see a birthday number 8 as a major sub-lesson, which is very much about achievement and business. And then there's some corresponding elements in the 9 about entrepreneurship. So there's a strong purpose here for this person for business. Certainly intuition, because the 9 is all about developing its intuition, spiritual faith over logic. But as you can see here, the 9 is about spirituality and the 8 is about worldly stuff. But the 8 uses their intuition and their spirituality in order to be able to achieve in the world. So these two numbers together, I see strong intuition, spirituality and worldly, one foot in each, and this is their purpose, remember, for this lifetime, and a very strong business purpose, intuitive business, and a leader, because the 8 energy is the masculine leadership and the 9 is the more feminine, emotional, intuitive leadership. So this person is here to learn to be the masculine leader and the feminine leader, to be intuitive and to develop their intuition and be spiritual like a 9, and then express that in the world to achieve in business like an 8, really. So it is these two numbers together, with the 9 being most important. So the next 4 slides, the first 2 are going to be about the all-important life path 9, and remember that's just the 9 energy, okay? And then the next 2 slides is going to be the 8 energy. But of course, as you know, you can be a life path 9 on its own, or you can be a 189, a 279, a 369, a 459, and I will briefly go into the detail of all the different types of life path 9 and the 3 types of birthday number 8, just roughly for you, because it's a lot of detail. So what I'm giving you in this video is the most important key information for you as a life path 9 with a birthday number 8. So we're going to now look at the detail, the task detail of the life path 9. It's things that you're here to achieve, so of course it's things you're going to find a bit difficult to achieve as well, unfortunately. But you know, we all come with difficulties, we all come with a life path, we all come with difficulties to achieve, otherwise we wouldn't be here. So, you know, embrace your challenges and see them with new motivation to really push ahead with your life purpose. So as I said, most importantly for a life path 9 is to follow spiritual faith over logic. Now, I'm not talking about religion necessarily. Most 9s are far too strong and spiritually advanced to sit under the rules of religion. So they're very spiritual, very much about spiritual law and understanding how to use spiritual law and concepts to have the best well-being in life, and to use their intuition to make their decisions. So very much like a spiritual teacher that follows their intuitive logic. But of course, because you're here to do that, you could struggle as a 9 and end up getting too embroiled in worldly laws, worldly beliefs, even getting down to prejudices and acting really counter-intuitively. So like a 9 is here to accept people from all walks of life, like a humanitarian, as you're going to see at the minute, And that's what they're here to do. And because of that, they may struggle to accept people from all walks of life. And there is a certain amount of prejudice often about a life path 9 that they have to get past in this lifetime. Depending on how far you are down your path, is you may already be accepting people from all walks of life, using your intuitive wisdom and not getting too stuck in worldly prejudices. That's really important for a 9 to walk that spiritual path. And you know what? Everything you do as a 9 should be from your intuitive wisdom, because the 9 is a very developed number, and it means straight away that you're a fairly old soul, you know, because the 9 is a mix of all the numbers, and you've come in this lifetime to learn to do a bit of all the numbers, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 all together. So you've kind of got to be good at everything to a certain extent, quite the generalist, and that's what you've come here to work towards. You're here also because you're a powerful 9. It's really important that as a powerful and influential 9, as you develop, that your ethics and your integrity are top notch, because you know, you've got 2 very powerful numbers here, the 8 and the 9. And that means that you must be a powerful person in order to come with those numbers. You know, everyone that I know that is an 8 or a 9 or has that in their chart has an element of intuitive power and strength about them. And it's not aggressive necessarily, it can be, but it's not necessarily, it's just this intuitive power and strength that they have about them as old and developed souls. Not quite as old as maybe as if they had a master energy, but they're certainly getting towards it. So when you have that much power, when you have that much you know, great things you can give to the world, you've got to do it with ethics and integrity, because a 9 could lead people to the light. The 9 can influence and teach and guide and lead people to their best life. But a 9 is that powerful that they can also be quite selfish on the other side of the coin, and influence people for their own gain and actually lead people to their destruction, like off the edge of a cliff almost. The 9 at its worst reminds me of that Koresh character that ended up leading all his disciples to suicide. You know, that's the kind of I don't know if he is a 9, but that to me embodies the worst of the 9 energy, when you lead people to their own destruction because they trust you so much. And that is the power of the 9. You can lift people up to the rafters or you can drop them down. So it's very, very important that you're ethical and responsible, vitally important, because you're here to be a humanitarian and have a global consciousness. That means, like I said earlier, not having those prejudice, accepting people from all walks of life and being more broad-minded, because when you're here to learn to be broad-minded, it's often because you probably got a tendency or had a tendency maybe in your past, or maybe you're still working with it, or maybe you've worked past it, but a tendency towards bigotry and being a bit discriminatory towards either other races or other religions, whatever it is that floated your boat at the time, or whatever it is now that's causing you that difficulty. So responsibility, having that global consciousness and acceptance is vitally important. Remember, you are very, very powerful. So responsibility and taking responsibility for your powerful choices and actions is vital, because as I said, the 9 is here to look after the well-being of others. But of course, because they're here to do that, they can have a tendency to actually be quite nefarious, selfish, have difficulty accepting the consequences of the things they do. You know, so it can be quite a double-edged sword. You're a very powerful person and you need to, you know, use the light and not walk towards the darkness, because whatever way you walk, you will be powerful in both. You're here to be an entrepreneur. Look at that number 8, like birthday number. So that's an extra push towards the business element of life. So part of your purpose, as much as the intuition and the spiritual faith is vital, and the ethics and the responsibility to be a humanitarian is important, it's also important that you actually get out there in the world as an entrepreneur. And your 8 birthday number confirms that even more. You're here to be an entrepreneur, a skilled business person who markets their passions. So the 9, like the 5, is here to find their passion and market that like an entrepreneur. And when you add the 8 birthday number to that, that enhances that need, that purpose for you to be running some kind of business or enterprise that is linked to your passions, that also brings you monetary abundance in the 8. You know, why not? The social to achieve in the 9 is, remember, you've got to lead positively by example, practicing what you preach for others to emulate, but in the positive. Because remember, you can lift people up to the clouds, or you can lead negatively by example, and others will follow you to their own destruction. That's just the power that you have to take responsibility for. That's vital. You're here to be well intentioned. That wants to lead people towards their well-being, more selfless, not selfish, and an intuitive teacher, counselor, advisor, influencer. And to the point where sometimes you can be too good at that and end up overtaking people's lives and being a fixer. So it's important that there's a balance there too, because people will look to you as a 9 for guidance. They will look to you wide-eyed and follow everything you do. But there has got to be a time where you step back and let other people run their own life and not end up being a fixer. You know, it's easy for a 9 to drop into that fixer mentality because of the strength of their wisdom and their power to help and influence. And they just love to protect 9s. So also, if you're in the negative end of the spectrum, you can be a negative intentioned teacher, somebody who's teaching the people for their own gain, lies, advising their followers to do things that are not in their interests or in anyone else's interests for that matter. And you're here as a 9 to be that intuitive, well-intentioned, positive influence in people's lives. Learn to have excellent charismatic social skills and communication skills, because as a 9 you're working towards having that charismatic ability to draw people in so that they will listen to your teachings and your wisdom about life. But again, you've got to make sure you're not too dominating and aggressive, because the 9s, they're powerful and they're full of wisdom. And of course, people that are full of wisdom, they don't suffer fools gladly, because it becomes to be a little bit irrelevant for them. So 9s have to be careful that, that they're not too aggressive with their power, and they deal with everyone around them, even if they're annoying, without wanting to, chuck them out the door or anything like that. 9s are also here, remember, to influence and teach and advise, and that means they need to be, or learn to be, excellent speakers, able to influence an audience to your healthy, intuitive way of thinking. I see 9s very much as well-being practitioners that guide and teach people around them, whether it be in spiritual wisdom or whether it be alternative health or spiritual teachings or spiritual healing, wherever that may be. The 9 is the influencer, the speaker, the teacher, the healer, the person that people go to and listen to. And again, you have a huge amount of power when you're working towards being that kind of person. So you've got to influence people positively. And because 9s are powerful, they could use their power to leave negatively, lie to people, driving people to do things that are not to their interests, to do your nefarious bidding, which ends up being not good for them. The 9 is a well-being practitioner or a practitioner of destruction, and you're here to work towards being that well-being practitioner. You're here to practice interdependence with boundaries, because what a 9 does is they love to help everyone. In fact, so much, like I said, that they can almost be too dominating and fix people's lives and not allow people to fix their own lives, which is what they're here to do, because they've got their life path numbers too. They've got their own things to deal with. So a 9 is so busy fixing everyone else's life and being a bit domineering that they don't want help from others themselves. So when a 9 needs help, they won't tell anyone, or they won't sometimes even acknowledge that they need help from other people. It's like the 9 wants to go one way. And the thing is with that is they can sometimes ignore their boundaries, overstep the mark in other people's lives. And not only then are they not doing those people any favours because they're overstepping the mark, but they're not walking their own path of development. They're overstepping their boundaries and doing far too much for other people in their lives and not enough for themselves. You know, you've got to give and receive help from others in a balanced way. Think of us all. We're all a whole, like a lattice, and we give out and we receive. We give out and we receive because we're all part of one whole energy. And it's not just about you giving. You've got to take some back as well, as you're going to end up ill and exhausted and, you know, at your worst, resentful. And a fixer that meddles, that does too much and takes over people's lives, you know, that's basically failing to honour their boundaries as well. And it's failing to acknowledge yourself and your needs. It's almost like a 9 can feel that they're weak if they acknowledge their weakness. And that's really not right at all. In fact, when you acknowledge your weakness and your vulnerabilities, that's exactly what makes you strong. And finally, you know, you can have a little bit of a victim mentality when you're a 9, and you've got to learn to see past perceived injustice and see or even negative things that happen to you as an opportunity to learn, because adversity are lessons. Haven't you noticed that we learn the most about ourselves when we're going through the most rubbish in our lives? And we learn less. We enjoy life more, but we learn less when we're in a utopian situation, or when we're on holiday around the edge of the pool holding a mojito. What are we learning then? We're not learning anything. It is actually adversity, unfortunately, which teaches us the best lessons. And if we can reframe that adversity and look for the lessons embedded in everything we experience, we're certainly not going to be blaming everyone else and being a victim ourselves, because 9s can be held back by that victimhood. And remember, they're powerful people. And if a 9 feels like a victim and decides to use their powerful energy for nefarious or selfish reasons, and they have an excuse that they've been victimized or someone's done this, that and the other to them, it can turn them into quite a nasty little force that can do a lot of damage. So victimhood, it's vital that 9s realize the reasons why they've gone through what they've gone through, and that it's vital that they don't become a victim or hold that against anyone. These people have done what they've done to the 9, whatever it is. However, I'm not going to go into any details of what might have happened to a 9, but there's always a lesson there. Even somebody that's been victimized or abused maybe by someone, even that is a lesson on, are you going to allow that to happen, or are you going to let fear take over you? You need to tell someone, you need to stand up to them, you need to do something, because often fear and vulnerability can hold us back. So there's many, many reasons why we go through the rubbish that we go through in life. And it's meant to evolve and develop you, not hold you back. And it's very, very, very important for a 9 that they learn that, because when they're held back by victimhood, and a very powerful 9 has unresolved anger or a spirit of revenge within them, or it's just the excuse a negative 9 can need for nefarious action, which is not something that I would want to be on the receiving end of. So that is 90% your focus. That is your life path 9. You're a communicator. You're intuitive. You're here to do the right thing and use your power to the best of its ability to be a well-being practitioner, but also an entrepreneur. And look here, your birthday number 9's telling you to look towards that business edge, look towards that achievement, that outer achievement, maybe using your spiritual ability in the 9 and making money with it in the outside world. Because as an 8, remember, this is only 10% of your focus, but it is something that will really put an edge to what you're doing in the 9, which is your most important priority, is that 9. So as an 8, there's some major sub-lesson focus here on learning business, the secrets of making money, basically. And, you know, when you're learning the secrets of making money, you're going to have situations where you make money and situations where you lose money. And it might be quite erratic at times, but the learning curve there again is learn the secrets of what makes money and what doesn't. And even when you lose money, treat that as a learning curve and think, right, what am I not going to do next time? Or what am I going to do better next time? And have that wisdom under your hat and know that doesn't make money, but that does. You know, that's what you're here to learn. So don't worry if you lose money sometimes. You make money and it's been a bit erratic, been a bit of a struggle financially. You know, that is part of your purpose, to try and juggle your money, to make money, lose money, and then eventually work towards financial abundance. Because the more you learn about how to make money, the better you're going to be at making money as a well-being practitioner or spiritual teacher, or wherever it is that you would, or whatever medium that you want to teach or influence in as a 9. Using then the money you make as a tool to help others. Because what 8s can do is, because they're money makers, they're very much achievement orientated. When they get to the point where they're making money and not making and losing erratically, when they're rich, basically, they're more likely to squander their abundance on worldly status symbols, because an 8 can have issues around status, and they can think if they've got a Jaguar or a high valued car and a Gucci suit, that they're in some way better than other people or special, when really what they should be doing, I mean, it's not that they're not allowed to spend the money on themselves. Of course they are. We all like a treat, we've all got to be supported. We all need money. But I guess what they're saying is use your financial abundance rather than buying 10 Lamborghinis. Use your money as a tool to help others in your family or the world around you or your community. I see the archetypal 8 is your Deborah Meaden, the Dragon's Den people that are very rich in business, and then they reinvest in other businesses to help them get them off the ground. That is very much the archetype of the 8. And alongside that, of course, you've got to have a healthy attitude towards the energy of money. Okay, because money is only an energetic mode of exchange, but we can all often see money in a difficult light. For example, we might see rich people as money grabbers or criminals, or we might see poor people as below us, or they're not wearing named brands, so they must be poor. It's like having a bad attitude towards people that are rich, people that are poor, and making assumptions about people because of their financial status, which is really something that an 8 really needs to work past. I mean, it's not your life path number, but it is something that you need to be aware of, because a negative attitude towards money can actually block you from making money. So it's really important for you as an 8 that you understand money as a mode of energetic exchange that you can draw towards you or push away from you, depending on your energetic attitude towards it. Because you're here also, as well as being an entrepreneur in the 9, to have a balanced attitude towards business achievement and success, so that you don't end up working too hard, which some 8s can do. 8s can often be money rich and love poor, because they focus far too much on their business and their work and their career, and they've got to learn to have a balanced attitude. But some life path 8s or birthday 8s can actually avoid achievement. It's that swing. Either you overachieve or you totally underachieve, and you've got to find that balance as an 8, so that you're not a workaholic or a bum. It's having that balanced attitude towards achievement and success, and not avoiding work or having a total obsession with success, so that nothing else in your life matters. You've got no family. As long as you're making money, that eventually is going to wear off, and you're going to wonder why you're not happy. And because you're here to have a balance of the two. And of course, you're here because you're here to be business orientated. You're here to be worldly strong and realistic, like this cutthroat business world is, and resilient, so that you can deal with business ups and downs. But 8s, I mean, they've got a 9 strong spiritual energy, but an 8 birthday, there might be tendencies where they can be a bit vulnerable and sensitive, and so they need to toughen up and be stronger if they're going to go into the business world in this lifetime. So they've got to learn to deal with world ups and downs and build strength and resilience so that they can take all their 9 potentials out into the world and actually make money as a business person. Because you've got to have courage as well. You've got to be resilient and strong, but you've also got to be brave and courageous and take calculated risks to progress. And because you're here to be brave and courageous, there's a chance not only are you going to be vulnerable and sensitive, but maybe even fearful as well, and uneven to take even the smallest of risks to progress. So you've got to work towards not taking so many risks that you lose everything, but when you lose, obviously learn from it, but actually being intuitive in your risk taking so that you're taking smart risks that come from the voice within you. Remember that intuition. And take calculated and intuitive risks to help you progress. Got to take some risks, remember, because you're here to learn to make things happen, to achieve your goals, organize the workload as a masculine leader, and in the 9 as a feminine, intuitive, emotional leader. And you've got to make things happen, take control and organize. And because of that, you might have a tendency to be a bit disorganized, a bit slow to progress, procrastinate a little bit and end up missing opportunities because you've just allowed that opportunity to pass you by. Remember, this is only 10% of your purpose. Again, can you see those ethics? Those ethics appear in your life path 9 and again in your birthday number 8, which gives you doubly it's doubly important for you to be ethical and responsible and consider the impact of your actions, because you're a 9 with an 8. They're very powerful numbers. And again, if you're going to be given an axe to wield, you've got to be responsible and ethical with that axe, because you could cause a lot of damage, but of course you can do a lot of great things as well. You could be a real amazing well-being entrepreneur in the 9 that lifts people up to amazing spiritual levels and health, and as well make money from that as an entrepreneur. Then you'd be merging your 8 and 9 energy quite well, as long as you're looking at all these elements and working through them. A skilled manager in the 8, that masculine energy of business leadership, charismatic personal power, as well as the 9 leadership energy, that intuitive leader by example. 9s are more leaders by example. They're very parental. They're very guidance orientated, and the 8 is very much leadership, where you organize the workload and make things happen. So you're here to be both. In fact, mostly you're here to be the intuitive, emotional, influential, parental kind of leader, with an element in the business world, because you'll need it, of the masculine leadership that you're probably going to need in the business world. In fact, you're definitely going to need in the business world. But of course, because you're here to lead, you're going to struggle with that. And you might have elements of unbalanced personal power, either too aggressive or too submissive, dominating and controlling, or submissive and dominated. And you've really got to find that balance between the two. Excuse me. And finally, it's that confidence and self-belief again. This confidence and self-belief that we could really all do with, to be perfectly honest. So you're here to develop, through your intuitive voice within, the inner confidence and self-belief. Okay, so if you are a tree, okay, your soil underneath that feeds your roots has to be intuition. When your soil is intuitive, your trunk of your tree, your confidence trunk, will be really strong, because you're basing everything you do on your intuitive voice, and it makes your confidence trunk really strong and healthy. And then when your confidence trunk is really strong and healthy, the blossom that comes from that, your actions, what you achieve, everything you do in this incarnation, that blossom will be the best that it can be. Intuitive voice first, trusting, listening, then trusting that intuitive voice, so that you make intuitive decisions and you use that intuitive voice to support your confidence. Because of course you're going to be bound or prone towards lower confidence if you're not trusting your intuition, low self-esteem, and not trusting your abilities or your own inner voice. So that is all the little elements of the life path 9. And remember, the life path 9 elements are most important. They're 90% of your focus. And then the sub lesson in the 8 is the nuances and the sub lessons. So I would say with a birthday number 8, you've really got to be looking towards goal achievement and world achievement and making money and being ethical and responsible and a balanced leader, you know, in a nutshell, to help your life path 9. And this encompasses your purpose. So you could be just a life path 9 on its own, which is what all these charts I've been talking about. And these are the dates that you might have. You might be a 189 if you were born on the 6th of September 1981. And these dates are not exhaustive. There's loads of different dates for each life path, but I'm just showing you how you can get to some of these life paths. And again, these are not exhaustive. But for the 459 is the most rare of the life path 9s. And you really do have to have 2 22s within the 3 elements of your birthday in order for that to happen. So that means you needed to be born in a 22 year. The last person to be born as a life path 459 was the 22nd of January 1993, and there's not going to be any more 459s then for a long time, because there isn't going to be any 22 years now for hundreds of years. So what I've just talked about is the life path 9 on its own. So you could be a 189. So if you're a 189, again, that accentuates your business. The 1 is about achievement, innovative achievement and leadership. And the 1, 8 and the 9 are the 3 numbers in numerologies that are all about leadership. Okay, so if you're a 189, you're very much more focused on leadership. So you've got that intuitive leadership in the 9 and the masculine leadership in the 8 and the very masculine, strong leadership of the 1. And it's very business and achievement orientated. So if you're a 189, you're going to tip more in that way. And if you want more detail, look more strongly again into that 8 and into the 1, and you will see how these numbers merge together. Because remember, these sub lessons, you need to, as a 189, you need to manage the lessons of the 8 and the lessons of the 1, the 8 being more important, to help you be the best 189 you can be. With the 279, this is more of a spiritual number. So the 7 is all about walking a spiritual path, and so is the 9. So if you're a 279, so the 189 is very focused on business and achievement and money straight away and entrepreneurship. The 279 goes straight to spiritual service. Intuition is the key for this one. Serving others in the spirit of service, and spending a lot of time developing yourself spiritually so that you could be the best spiritual teacher you can be. The 369, these 369 are the creative numbers. So when you're a 369, you're here to be creative in whatever form you can be. It's music, it's, you know, all 9s can be musical and creative. I'm not saying you can't be if you're not a 369, but the 369s especially are emotional performers, creative, aesthetics, acting, very much more into performance. All 9s can have performance in their path, because the 9 is in itself a very creative number. But the 369 makes it ultra, the most creative of all the life path 9s is the 369, because the 6 is about music and aesthetics and idealism. And the 3 is about emotional self-expression, like a performer. And the 9 is also a potential of performer. So I see a lot of creative artistry when it comes to the 369. The 459, look at those 2 numbers together, very much about focus and discipline. So to be the best 9 you can be, you need to look at the elements of the 5, which is about finding discipline and mastery and being an amazing, it focuses more on communication, this one, because all 9s are communicators, but the 459 is the biggest communicator of all the 9s, because the 5 is a storyteller and a communicator, and the 4 is also about stability and focus. So the 459 is more about communication, focus and discipline, and it's the 459 and maybe the 369 that are going to struggle the most with that focus. because, you know, remember the 9 needs to find a passion that they can market as an entrepreneur. The 4, 5, 9, that is the strongest on that, because the 5 is all about finding your passion and mastery, and the 9 is all about marketing your passions and mastery, and the 4, 5 together is all about focus and discipline so that you can create that mastery. Now, I hope that little rundown of all the nuances of the life path has been helpful. What I will do in the future is I am going to eventually do every single one of, like I'll do a video on the 189 on its own. I've already done a few, but I'm going to do more videos on the 279 on its own, or the 189 on its own, and all the life paths, because they're 48 life paths. And eventually I will have a video on each and every one of those 48 life paths. But I have so many other ideas and get so many requests that it slows me down. But you know what? I've got my whole life to do this, and I love every minute of it. So whatever. So birthday number, before I forget, birthday number is the 10% of your focus. So you might be born on the 8th, 17th and the 26th. And don't forget, this has all got to be linked to your life path. Okay. So if you're born on just the 8th, then just the elements that I've spoken so far in this video are what you really need to focus on. All 8s have to focus on that, but then you won't have to deal in any other numbers. But if you're a 178, you have to deal with the elements of the 8, but also touch on the elements of the spiritual intuitive 7 and the channeling leadership 1. Or if you were born on the 26th, you're going to be a very service. This is a very service orientated 8, because the 6 is an idealistic server of people, and the 2 is very much a server of people, but very idealistic in their way. So what I've talked about today is just the elements of the 8, which is most important, and just the elements of the 9, which is the most important. So you might need to dig a little bit further into those nuances of your sub-lessons. But what I've just spoken about in the last 4 worksheets, I've forgotten, last 4 screens, what am I like, are the most important. And over time I will be doing videos of each one. But of course there's a lot to do, so it's going to take me some time. Now, I hope you found this video really useful today. If you want to learn more about numerology, you can do my Udemy courses, which links are going to be in the description box, or you can buy my books on Amazon. My first 2 are out right now on Amazon. And if you put my name, Katie Ewers, into Amazon, you don't even need to use the link that I've put in the description box, but by all means use that link. And that will take you to my 2 books that are all about life purpose, which is what this video is about, and about the expression with the life path number. And I'm writing at the moment the Soul Urge book that supports the life path number. If you'd like to request a reading, I do many readings, from short Zoom readings to really long 2-hour readings with PDFs and everything. Love it. So if you'd really like a reading from me, please contact me by email or put me a message in my social media. If you'd like to request a video, again, just message me on my email or social media. If you just want to ask a question or just have a chat with me, again, email me or contact me on social media. I would love to hear from you. But you know what? If your intuition tells you different, don't listen to me, because you should only be listening to your own intuitive voice within you, because that's all that matters.